Philadelphia 76ers gave their best effort on the floor, competing and doing their best job of throwing away the game against the Utah Jazz, but unfortunately, they were unable to out-tank the Tank Masters. I want to break down why the Sixers mentality has shifted completely on this conversation regarding tanking the rest of the season, why I was relieved to hear these quotes from Nick Nurse, and why it was an unfortunate 24 hours for this overall mindset here. As in the span of 24 hours, we see Jamal Shead of the Toronto Raptors hitting a game winner off the glass and in, only to be waved off for being 0.1 seconds late. And just a couple minutes earlier, it was Cam Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets with the game on the line, a chance for a game winner, blocked by Miles Bridges. So losses by the Nets and the Raptors only to be followed up by a Sixers victory. A little bit of a hit to those chances for the draft pick. Want to dive into how that impacts the Sixers team, exactly what Nick Nurse said, and sort of a little overall conversation on the outlook for the remainder of the season. But before I do that, do want to remind you guys to make sure you are hitting that subscribe button here. At this point in time, 69.2% of you guys watching these videos have not subscribed just yet. We can get through the rest of the season together. There are better days on the horizons for Sixers family, so I want each and every one of you guys a part of the Sixers Digest family as well. Now, with all that being said at the beginning, this is now the current lottery odds that we're seeing. So the Sixers have officially climbed to the 7th worst record in the NBA, 22-41 overall. What that means right there, a 32% chance at a top 4 pick, a 7.5% chance at the 1 pick, and a 31.9% chance of keeping the pick overall. And I know it is not shown on these Tankathon odds here, but just the odds of it staying within the top 6. At the 7th seed, it is a 31.9% chance. If they are at the 6th seed, that moves to a 45.8% chance. And if they can drop to that 5 seed, which the Toronto Raptors currently hold possession of, that's when their odds get to 63.9%. To move up 140, we'd get to 81%. That feels pretty far-fetched there. The real focus should be on 5 and 6 for the current time being, but I do think the Sixers have changed their mentality entirely. And why I say that is Nick Nurse was asked a little bit about the conversations pregame. Of course, it was another game without any of Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid on the floor as they continue to deal with whatever issues each of them individually are. Maxey has returned to a little bit of on-court action, so there's a chance. I'm sure he could come back at some point this season if that has decided to be the best direction, but will be interesting to see how they dance that. But Nurse was asked a little bit about the mentality pregame with all the injuries, and he said, quote, "I think we've pushed some guys pretty far here in the last 2 or 3 weeks," the 76ers head coach said. Again, a lot of injuries. I think we do got to be a little more mindful of that and try to survive some minutes and let some of the other guys maybe play as maybe their own second unit and see how they can hang in here. That was the official wave the white flag, Cooper, we are coming. That was, we are not taking this season as serious as possible for the remainder of the year, and this is the right direction for this team. To elaborate a little bit further on what he said, quote, "Pushing those guys in the 40s over and over and over is a bit much," Nurse said of the extended playing time. Oubre has reached 40 minutes in 8 games this season, while Yabusele and Grimes have each played in the mid to high 30s with Philly. One thing that will help the Sixers is the eventual return of Kyle Lowry, who has dealt with a hip injury that has sidelined him for all but 11 of the team's 32 games in 2025, including the last 10 games. Nurse said that Lowry is feeling, quote, "a lot better," and that he'll be re-examined after the back-to-back. With the play-in falling further and further out of the picture, the 76ers are eager to get back to their winning ways. At this point, simply making it through the rest of the season in one piece would be an accomplishment. Now, it is hilarious to me that Kyle Lowry maybe rolled out there as this knight in shining armor to come return to the floor. I'd be pretty shocked if he did play another game this season. If he wants to, and this is how Kyle Lowry's retiring at the end of the year, wants to get a couple of games under his belt, whatever, I don't care. I don't think Lowry's going to be a guy who impacts winning to the level. Frankly, we've seen it in the other direction for stretches where he just has not been good enough for his on-court role. All love to Kyle. Glad he's back in Philly. Glad he's ending his career here, and obviously wish him nothing but the best, but we know the situation, and this wasn't exactly what he signed up for either. He was supposed to be kind of a veteran mentorship on a team contending. We see what the state of the season. Now, after Nurse said that exactly, do want to reflect on the box score from last night, because it was not just lip service there. He did do exactly what he spoke of. Gershon Yabusele playing just 12 minutes last night. Justin Edwards, 29. Andre Drummond, 10 minutes. Did not step foot in the second half there. Oubre, only 20 minutes. Quentin Grimes, 27. And then you can see that bench unit. It was Lonnie Walker who led the team in minutes last night and played terrific, by the way, in his 34 minutes. Had 25 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists there. His first double-double of his career. Shot 3 of 9 from 3, 8 of 18 from the field. Was really impressed with his game overall. We'll show some more love to Quentin Grimes, who continues to do his thing there. In his 27 minutes, had 25 points, 6 assists. Thought he was really good. Still has that on-ball juice in a way. We'll give a quick shout to Alex Reese. 15 minutes off the bench. The two-way guy had 9 rebounds. Thought he looked pretty impressive, to be honest. 6 points and 9 rebounds there. Adembona was also excellent. 14 points, 15 rebounds, 5 blocks. So they gave him 2 steals as well. His activity was off the charts there. I thought there were some nice flashes from Jared Butler. That's what we're watching for us this season, is just to see that. Now, to bring it a little further here and talk about the bigger picture, there is this large conversation about tanking, right? And there's been the guys that are very much pushing for it. I've been in that side of the campaign that obviously with the processes, the Sixers were a team that took this to an extreme and really committed to that bit in a way that some teams or some organizations had feared to in the past. And there's certainly the pushback for that. This is not, good for the morality of the sport, or what is the right thing to do, the ethical approach to sports or life really in general. Is it okay to kind of take your lumps here? Now, granted, I think a lot of that is overblown, and my direct point here would be is players do not tank, organizations tank, and that is what the Sixers are doing right in front of us. The guys that are on the floor last night play their hearts out. They compete their asses off, and they should, because each and every one of these guys do have things to play for. If you're Alex Reese, why do you care about the Sixers draft pick when you don't know where you're going to be next year? If you're Jared Butler, you don't have this type of security in the league long term. You just got upgraded to a standard contract this second half of the season and have no real guarantee for next year. I believe it's a team option on his contract. Each of these guys have those sort of stipulations. Kelly Oubre, a guy who just sort of has cemented his place in the NBA again to an extent, as he was sort of dangling in limbo, had to take the veterans minimum when first coming to Philadelphia. All these guys have individual things to prove for future contracts, other job opportunities across the league, or earning the chance to stay with the Sixers if that is their goal. So for players specifically, don't expect anything to change for their approach to the game. They're still going to be bringing it every time they're out there. The Adembonas, all these guys, they have things to play for. Now, granted, how this is done is an organization stacking the deck to increase your chance of winning. What does that mean exactly? It means Tyrese Maxey, even if he is healthy, can't suit up. And by the way, the Utah Jazz, far more egregious of this last night than the Sixers. And this is why I'm not frustrated this being a victory. I've seen a lot of that on the timeline. I hear you. They're not going to lose every single game. Unfortunately, that is part of the randomness of sports, just in the same way that a team can't go 82-0. A team also can't go 0-82 because there is enough weird things that can go wrong, shooting variance, all those type of things that impact a game that kind of you're going to luck your way into some wins. That's sort of what happened last night for the Sixers, that they, against this Utah Jazz team, the Jazz were so zeroed in on not winning. It was Lauri Markkanen rest day, it was Colin Sexton rest day, John Collins rest day, that none of those guys were suiting up last night, that they knew the plan as well. Both these teams were on the same page. It was pretty fascinating watching these two teams sort of have a chess match for how can I increase my team's chance of winnings, and the Sixers still gave him a spark at the end, man. That final score in the fourth quarter that the Jazz outscored the Sixers 39-25, had a puncher's chance at the end. I thought it was going to happen, but the work must continue from here, and we can see the action. They will be back in action against the Atlanta Hawks today, and then Wednesday's a big one against the Toronto Raptors there. A Raptors victory, which directly correlates to a Sixers loss, would do some serious damage in those tankathon odds, moving things around. And I also did want to highlight on March 30th another matchup against the Raptors there. And you can see each of these other games. These are some very losable basketball games. Indiana Pacers playing pretty well right now. Dallas Mavericks, that one, they're going to have to pull some strings. That might be a little bit more winnable than most of us would ever expected was possible. But then the Houston Rockets, good basketball team. Oklahoma City Thunder, terrific basketball team. San Antonio Spurs, really solid even without Victor Wembanyama. The Hawks again. The Pelicans, that could be a potentially interesting one depending on the seedings. The Pelicans are showing a little bit of fight, a little bit of spark. Zion Williamson back on the floor. I'm hopeful that they can climb up the standings again. But to once again reflect on where we are, it is the Wizards holding the top lottery odds. The Utah Jazz second there, who of course did unfortunately had another loss last night. Then the Hornets, then the Pelicans, the Raptors, the Nets, and there are the Sixers there. So currently one game above the Brooklyn Nets, a game and a half above the Raptors. Those are the teams that we really have our eyes on the most there. But all the Sixers can do is control what they can control, keep doing what they're doing on the floor. I really hope I just really hope it turns into a pick, man. I think regardless of how we slice it, it's going to be the fate of the ping pong balls, whether it's a 60% chance, a 40%, an 80%, whatever their chances are when they get to that stage. It is going to be gathered around the lottery, praying for the best result there, and they got to walk away with something this season. So to those lottery odds, to those ping pong balls directly, please break the Sixers way. To the Sixers team, shout out to you guys for accepting the situation finally, and we'll be continuing to break things down every step of the way right here on Sixers Digest. So once again, do want to remind you guys to make sure you are smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Just 30.8% of you guys watching these videos have subscribed just yet. Let's keep this Sixers Digest family growing. Let's continue trusting the process, and I'll be back with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.